Alright, 2006 SAAB 9.3. Customer states that the AC is not cold anymore. Did a dye test on it, found dye coming out of the evaporator drain. I've changed a bunch of evaporators on these. The core rusts out in the dash. There's also a bracket on the expansion valve under the wipers that corrodes up and breaks the seal. So we're gonna pull it apart, change the evaporator. Here we go. Start by pulling off the wipers. We got to get this cowling off of it. Use a pick. $13mm to take the wiper arms off. Raise the wiper arms, rocking back and forth, come right off. 9.5's not so easy. 9.3's come right off. Now we'll pull this cowling off, little push pin. It's also worth saying that the AC system on this car is completely flat. I checked it with the gauges already, so we don't have to evacuate it. Push pin on this side as well. Gotta pull the wiper trans out of the way, 10mm. I think I can leave the electrical connector on it. Move it out of the way, don't have to deal with unplugging it. Cabin air filter shield. Go ahead and pull the cabin air filter and the cabin air filter housing too. We're going to be replacing that. Yeah, that's ready. There's little clips in here, pull out of the way. Also, when you do this, we have to change the seal on the cabin air filter housing because it'll be all dry rotted. This seal is one of the better ones I've seen. This is the seal that dry rots, and when it does, it lets water get into the blower motor. Kills the blower motor. This one was still sealed. Alright, let's zoom in on our expansion valve here. There it is. So, middle stud's a 13mm. That's the easy one. Alright, get this hose assembly out of the way. These are the two bolts that usually cause some hell on this job. It just depends. You gotta replace the seals on this line too. So, Alright, that's out of the way. Alright, so it's a 4mm. Top one's good. Let's see if the bottom one's going to give us trouble. So these screws rust into the bracket that's located behind it, and when that happens, there's no way to access the back. These are both going to come out. Wow, lucky day. I'm going to grab the electric ratchet now that we got them broken loose. Man, that's lucky. I've had many fights with those before, so I'm happy that one's gonna come easy. See that rusted bracket back in there? Get a light on it for you. All that corrosion on that bracket, that's where a lot of your problems come from. See how it rusts the expansion valve as well. See that? There we go. So we got to pull this rubber boot to get to the bracket that holds these pipes for the evaporator. And this boot is the hardest part of putting all this back together, in my opinion. Oh, I forgot. So this bracket that's back there has to come off before the boot will come off. This is where the fighting starts. That. I have to bend this down. Can't lose this bracket because the new kit doesn't come with a new one. Remember, well, let's see if teamwork will make the dream work here. We have to do this again when we go to put it back in. That's when it gets really fun. That's sarcasm. There we go. See this corrosion that builds up on these? Go. I wish removing it were the worst part, but unfortunately reinstalling it wins that. So now we gotta take this bracket off. This bracket is what locates our evaporator tubes. Alright, so there's one. There's two. Comes, get your hand in there. Bracket. So now the evaporator core is loose. All the rest of the job happens inside of the car. Alright, so a bunch of various extensions and a T20 socket there, T20 Torx driver, and electric ratchet. Alright. There's a lot of screws that go into this blower motor. Some of them are easier than others. You can get these right here. Pretty simple. Make sure my head's not. There's one that holds this vent down here. On this vent. This is the electrical connector for the blower motor. This is a automatic climate control car. A manual climate control car is going to be different. So now we got to kind of get in there and work the head around a lot and try to find the rest of the screws. A lot of them you just have to get by feel, especially the ones on the back. Wrench just hit me in the face. That happens. We got one more left. The one on the back rear is really difficult. You gotta just kind of feel it. So now there's some clips there, there. And now I have to flex this kind of down out of the way. There's the blower motor out. Now I have to take this top kind of hat off of here. There's one 10mm over here on the left. Sorry if my head's blocking a lot of this. There's just not really a better way I can do it. I'll try to move you over here. There we go. So this wire has to unclip and this connector has to come off. So that's the blower motor hat. This has the recirculation flap and the recirc motor on it. Alright, so now we're ready to start pulling the evaporator housing apart. I can pull this tube out of here. So all these little T20s have to come out of this box here. There's our buddy. Here's our leak. You can see where the evaporator is corroding. We've got dye coming through, the discoloration on that bottom corner. They just get little pinholes in them. They leak ever so slightly. That's all it takes. Get it seated. There we go. Now it's sitting proper in there. I'm gonna go up under the hood real quick and make sure the lines are where they need to be. All right, everything's good up under the hood. Let's go ahead and get our blower seal back in here. Alright, I'll put the blower motor cap back on with the recirc flap. Put the recirc flap back in. Route this little wire here. And then this goes back in there as well. And get our blower motor back in. Alright, back up under the hood, we got our new evaporator lines coming through there. Really important you don't bend those when you're putting them in because they need to line up perfectly on the new expansion valve and the bracket. So now we'll start securing them in place. First part of that is this plastic clip. It's really awkward to get your hands in here to work. Don't do that. This is what braces these lines so they can't slide back when you're putting the bracket in. Even though you got your hand in there, you can't really see AC. All right, that guy's in there. To try to bring the lines forward just a little bit. See, this is where it gets tough, because now we got to get the first got to get the boot in there, and then we got to get the bracket in there. All right. So step one is trying to get this boot back in here. There we go. So we got our two fittings through the boot. And the camera's having a hard time with this. There we go. There's the fitting through the boot. Now comes the hard part. We got to get our bracket in there. There we go. All right, so now our bracket's on. Yeah, that's our seal. All right. Our other one. Here's our new expansion valve. There we go, seated right down on there, nice and snug. Starting by hand. These are the seals here. You gotta kind of work this a little bit to get it back down in there just right. Actually, boots unpuckered there. There we go. That's it. Now we've got a system that'll hold vacuum and should work.